This program contains material of a disturbing nature. Viewer discretion is advised. It's a quiet Sunday morning in November. But as Cicely starts her day, she notices her daughter isn't her usual self.
When Kennedy first got up, she said that her head was hurting, that she was not feeling well.
It felt like someone was sitting on my head. I felt pressure all over.
The night before, the family went to a party, and Cicely figures her daughter is tired.
And I thought maybe she needs to rest. So I gave her some over-the-counter medication to treat the headache. And then I asked her to go lay down.
A couple of hours later, Cicely goes up to Kennedy's room to check on her.
She was just laying there. She was complaining that her head was hurting worse. And she had a slight fever.
But as Cicely takes her daughter's temperature, she spots something else.
And I noticed that her lips were kind of swollen and they were red. I wasn't that concerned. I thought maybe she had caught a cold or a virus from someone else that was attending the party. So after I noticed her lips were swelling, I gave her a cold compress and gave her something for the fever. I thought she would be fine.
But the following morning, Kennedy's condition hasn't improved. So Cicely takes her to a local clinic to have her checked out.
The doctor did a physical examination. And that's when she started complaining about her throat.
My throat felt like it was burning and I couldn't swallow anything. It felt like somebody was tearing my skin off.
The doctor takes a swab to check for an infection. And a few hours later, he has a diagnosis.
That's when they came back and said that she had strep throat.
Streptococcal pharyngitis, or strep throat, is a bacterial infection that causes inflammation and soreness. In many cases, the condition also leads to nausea, headaches, and fever. The doctor prescribes antibiotics for the infection and reassures Cicely it can be easily treated.
They told me she should be fine in a couple of days.
But one morning later that week, Kennedy's condition takes an alarming turn.
She woke up and she ran to the bathroom and started vomiting. Seeing her violently vomit, I knew that something was wrong.
Then, as Cicely tries to comfort her daughter, something unusual catches her eye.
When Kennedy was vomiting, because her mouth was open, that's when I saw the sores. The bumps were all over the inside and the outside of her mouth, and they were pus-filled. So they were white, red, and blotchy. At this point, she's crying, and she is asking me, what is wrong with me? I knew that I needed to take her back to the ER.
At the hospital, doctors perform an initial round of tests. They reveal that Kennedy is still suffering from strep throat, but the cause of her other symptoms remains a mystery.
They wanted to check for other things because at that point, they didn't know what we were dealing with.
As Cicely waits for answers, Kennedy's godmother, Tamara, comes to the hospital to offer her support.
I called Tamara because I needed somebody to keep me calm.
I tried to stay positive, but I'm looking at Kennedy, and she's in constant pain, and she's not getting any better.
For 1 week, doctors keep Kennedy in the hospital while they run further tests. But when the results come in, they show nothing unusual. So doctors conclude she probably has a virus that just needs to run its course.
She's seen so many doctors. She's had so many tests done. So as we're standing in this examination room with all of these doctors and they're arguing amongst themselves, I kept seeing the swelling, the redness. Everything else was pretty normal except for her mouth.
I see Tamara and I can see her sitting there thinking, this is wrong.
So I simply asked if I thought the issue was in her mouth.
The doctors looked at her like, maybe she's on to something. What if we're missing something that's right in front of us?
A team of specialists is brought in to examine Kennedy's case. Among them is Dr. Mitchell Gadet.
So in Kennedy's situation, her lips are all red and swollen, but also her spleen was enlarged. And we know our spleen can be enlarged when we have an allergy of some sort.
Over the next 72 hours, doctors test a variety of potential allergens on Kennedy's skin.
They thought maybe it was food-based or maybe it was environmental allergies.
And one particular allergen triggers a severe reaction in Kennedy. But it's not something she would eat, and it may be the last thing doctors expect.
We found that Kennedy has severe nickel allergic syndrome.
A nickel allergy is the body's immune system's response to contact with the metal nickel. It's a relatively common condition, but Kennedy is suffering from a severe reaction known as systemic nickel allergy syndrome. It's triggering her fever, sores, and enlarged spleen. And Dr. Gadet suspects that because of her strep infection, Kennedy's allergic reaction is particularly severe.
Inside Kennedy, these allergens were causing her immune system to flare up. And then eventually she has the strep throat. Her immune system is going in hyperdrive, trying to fight off the infection. Her body is actually destroying itself, trying to get rid of this allergen. And somebody could die from that.
I thought, this is a nightmare. What was it?
We still were left wondering what was causing her to be so sick.
So what exactly is triggering Kennedy's allergic reaction?
They told us this whole time it was her braces. I just never imagined something as so simple as trying to correct your child's mouth. I started thinking back. Every time she had to go get a tightening, she would have bumps.
It was such a minor reaction at first that it really fools everyone into thinking this is just a normal reaction. Kids get braces put on, and there can be some bleeding and some redness in the tissue in the mouth. But as Kennedy continued to go through orthodontic treatment, her tissue was getting more inflamed, and it was getting more widespread.
Kennedy's braces are immediately removed. And over the next few days, her symptoms start to fade.
When they took the braces off, the bumps began to go away. She no longer was feeling lethargic. It was like an immediate change.
Today, Kennedy has made a full recovery.
She's bounced back with a great attitude. I know that she's going to do well in life. I'll tell her everything. She saved my baby.